Well, well, well. I tried to get you chewing.
Hmm.
I tried. What can I say? Oh, that's killing me. What in the world are you trying to? You got a new sales promotion going on with your merch over there, and you just needed a mannequin or what?
Well, you know, you got to mock things up so people can tell what they look like.
Yeah, but I have no neck in that.
That's because the tape keeps slowly giving away. So at some point tonight, your head may fall off.
Mm. Oh my goodness. Oh, can't catch a break. I'm talking about just staying on me. Uh, hey, you forgot to give me like a really swollen hand. Bees got me today. Look, but
Again?
I don't have any wrinkles.
That's one way to get rid of them, I guess.
Yeah. Uh, all right, so let's see who all's here. We'll give it a few minutes before we get into anything too in depth. I guess my audio's still working okay. This I'm fixing to kick this other audio program to the curb. Uh, but I guess everything's back working.
Yeah, seems okay on my end.
Cool. All right. Let's see here. While Steve's finishing his supper. Uh, how are you doing there, Miss Sharon? Nepa, Jim from Wichita. James Richards, Ozark, Alabama. Hello. They're almost a neighbor. It's not too far away. Let's see. Brian said he got 25 minutes early and still not the first. Well, I was editing a video and Steve was eating. So, and I was having some audio issues. So it took us a minute to get here.
So Carla's kind of down for the count this weekend, and so I was busy out here, needed to get the boys some dinner, and so I ordered some pizza. Normally they're done in like 20 minutes, and they kept saying like, "Oh well, the estimated time is 6:30 to 6:40," and it's like 6:45. They still don't have it done. I'm like,
Time for a scarf.
yeah,
Well, that's cool. Norbert said he showed up for the pregame tailgate party.
nice.
Yeah. What's up, Norbert? How are you? Brian, it's a tailgate party at each person's house. Do you mean, did you get a pet, cat, dogs, tail until a show? What? Okay. Well, we'll just, Brian got me on that one. What's up, Stephen? Chuck Forbes, Sarasota, Florida. Scott Sparrow, Jeremy, Jordan, Double J, Patriotic Design. Mr. Norton again there. Brian. Mark Chris from the Land Down Under. How are you, sir? Mark Bingham. Hello. Mike. Brandon. Keith. Brandon again. Yeah, we just had some conversations going here. Scott from Eastern Nebraska. Welcome. Hello. How are you? And let's see who we got. Peter Lepine, I'm guessing. Langley, British Columbia, Canada. One of your neighbors to the north up there, Steve. Aaron, what's up? Let's see. ET, straight out of Texas. Glad to see you here today, sir. Old Guy Designs. Nipa, Norbert, Chris. Let's see. Mr. Don Dickey, Texas. A couple of folks from Texas tonight. Tom Dukerich. Uh, hello, how are you? Papa 20. Soaking Rays. Jeffrey Lapierre. Jack in the Shop. Hello, Jack. How are you? And North Alabama Barbecue, Bullets, and Big Rigs. Wonder where he's at tonight. Probably somewhere on the interstate, if I was guessing. Balmy Breeze Design Company from Gardendale. That's a little ways north of me, but hey, you're in Alabama. That's what counts. Let's see. Mr. Larry Broom from Chattanooga. How are you, sir? Rob Fight. I think I've got about everybody. Oh, David Allen, that fellow with that really good name. Uh, yeah, Norbert said B's the original Botox. That's what I told my daughter. It was basically like Botox for my hand. I mean, look at that. Look how smooth that is. My hand ain't looked like that in years. So, Greg Wilson, Nature Photography there. Chuck Pedersen. I'm going to say Pedersen. If I butcher your name, guys, I'm sorry. At least you'll know how your name's pronounced in Redneckanese.
Yeah, it's just the accent.
Yeah, just reckon Redneckanese. Mike Dole, Roger Kent. Well, we're getting. I'm gonna have to eventually quit doing this. Brad Ham. What's up, Wild Willow? How are you? Perman Fit. Oh my goodness. Finlayson, something like that. Yeah. Redneck and Ease again. Burn Carve Print. I've been seeing a lot of stuff from them lately. I've been getting into it pretty heavy. Quick Bean, Space Coast, Florida. That's where Steve wants to go. He wants to go down there and watch one of the rockets launch.
That'd be fun. Yep.
Yeah, I do too. I can't say anything. Rhonda Fleming, Kevin Rich, Mark Bingham, Jim Castro. Hello, Jim. Don Lewis. I think I've already mentioned you, but anyway. Stephen Cobb from Texas. Tim Helbeth, Brooksville, Florida. Well, I'll tell you, we've got some folks representing down there in Florida. I tell you. Next time I go to the beach, I might have to like have a Lowe's or Home Depot meetup or something. Ron Ruggles watching from Virginia. There you go. West Virginia, Dennis Huddleston. And Dave Gaucher. That's probably the Louisiana way of saying it anyway. And R. Flaw from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. And Kevin Rich. So, okay. Yeah.
You survived.
I'm gonna start letting you do that. We'll see what everybody's name sounds like with a Minnesota accent. But yeah, it's been actually kind of a relaxing weekend, but I've stayed busy, but I've actually done some fun stuff, and you know how that is when you're doing fun stuff, it kind of flies by. It seems like it should not be Sunday yet. I kind of wish I had an extra day this weekend because I've been having fun doing stuff, and it's just kind of like snap your fingers and the weekend is gone.
Yeah.
I didn't get to go to Lowe's this weekend to pick up any supplies for my stove covers because it's Alabama, and this time of the year it's like every day's a thunderstorm, and so I just didn't want to chance it with $500 worth of lumber coming back from Lowe's that getting rained on. So I decided to wait, and we're going to try to do that one day this week. And go down there and restock because I am completely out. Last time I went, I bought like 10 or 15 panels, and I went through them in like a week or so. So for now, we're in a holding pattern and just been doing shop stuff, having a little fun. So what you had going on at your place other than trying to make my head look like a mannequin over there? I mean, and obviously maybe printing some shirts and some hats, it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a rough week. What I thought was at least allergies early on turned into a full-on chest cold. So I was kind of down for the count the majority of the week. Kind of just didn't feel like doing much. Got some work from home done for my normal job, but other than that was kind of in and out of just sleeping. So it's been kind of unproductive out in the shop, but yeah, I needed to get caught up on an order. So this is actually what I worked on this weekend. It's a local farmer that I've been working with for the past couple of years. More so, me giving him money for bulk pork. He was talking with me about some of his needs for some custom apparel, and he's got this logo. Let me actually grab this. He's got a unique logo that is highly detailed. So you look at that pig, and it's not the easiest thing to replicate. At least with your traditional like embroidery type people or your typical screen printers and such. So he had some shirts done somewhere else with just his basic logo, but talked to me about what I could do. And we came up with this. This is the leatherette stuff that's got the adhesive on the back, and ended up running those through the X-Tool S40 to cut and engrave these out. And then I used which is way overkill for leatherette. I had to tone it down to, I think, about 15% on the.
Yeah, you said S40, you mean S1?
Sorry, the S1 40 watt.
Yeah, gotcha. You had me throwed. I was like, X Tools does snuck you another secret machine I don't know about.
Yeah, it just jumped ahead 39 versions. But so so this worked out well for the hats. Now, of course, you and I have their screen printers, and I had been playing around with his logo on trying to engrave that into the screen. And it, unfortunately, I couldn't get a balance of getting the detail into the screen very well. I think I still could if I enlarged it a little bit and played a little more with the settings, but it was just struggling with the fine details. So I talked with him about doing the logo in DTF transfers, and that's what I've done on this front patch here. And so that's just the ink gets printed onto a film, and you basically heat press it on. And I've been doing that for a while with my logo on a few shirts, and that's held up really well. So I felt really comfortable recommending this to him. And then on the back, he wanted a bit as well. I'll grab one of these. So this is kind of just one of his sayings there, is to know your farmer. And he likes dealing with local people direct from the farm to the families and such. And so he's like, hey, could we still screen print something on the back? So we put his website on the back. We put their saying on there. And then on the front, of course, they'll have that nice little DTF transfer. So 3 different styles of personalizing these. And so I recorded everything as best I could, and am putting together a video on, doing product customization and in a small scale. And this type of stuff, the way I did it, you wouldn't want to do 50 or 60 of them. You'd want the screen printing tree, you'd want, better gear. But this is kind of a niche area, like business to business, where maybe someone wants, he wanted like 9 shirts and 5 hats. Most stores would be like, we don't want to do that. It's too small a volume. But for me, it kind of still makes sense. I can at certain price, or at certain volume, you could do it pretty well and still keep it inexpensive for them, but profitable for me. So I still have to edit the video. I just finished filming and doing this stuff today. So hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll have that out there to just kind of spark some ideas of, if you're a small business wanting to add this to it, or maybe you want to do this for area clubs, kids' little league team, youth group at church, whatever. It's not terribly expensive to do this, and allow some customization. So yeah, that's kind of what it's been a few days. However, I did make it to Lowe's, and we do not have a local Lowe's here, but it had nothing to do with the shop. My wife was going to mow the lawn while I was not feeling so well, and dragged our 9-10-year-old gas mower out and couldn't get it started. I got out of bed, took the carb off, was cleaning things out. It was getting gas, it was getting spark, but it just was not, wasn't firing. And I've been looking for an excuse to make the switch over to an electric mower for a while now. And when I was feeling very under the weather and not wanting to be working on a mower, I felt like, okay, this is the straw. I'm swapping it out. Unfortunately, the local stores didn't have the one I wanted, so I had to drive about 45 minutes to the nearest Lowe's, pick that up, and now I have a mower that has headlights. So
cool. I saw that, and and it's low emissions in case you just decide you want to, like, I don't know, use it in your garage or something.
Yeah, well, it's surprisingly quiet. I mean, for a mower, and we don't have that big of a yard that it doesn't take long to mow. So if I had a bigger yard, I definitely would, be going with bigger, like a rider or something. But
you wouldn't want to do mine with an electric pull mower. You've seen my yard,
right?
You wouldn't want to do it.
The nice thing about this, it's much smaller and it folds up really nice. So it's kind of doubly attractive to me because it will take up less space in the shop here.
Yeah,
I don't have like another shed to put,
and you don't have that gas smell or anything like that in there.
So. Exactly. So it cost me a little bit of money, but I'm happy now.
It's been about 3 years since I took a weed eater And just so you know, if you take a gas powered weed eater and you hold it by the part where the thread go and you sling it hard enough, you can actually break that little pipe, because that's what happened to the last gas powered weed eater I had after I about blew my shoulder out trying to crank it. I now run all electric weed eaters, hedge
Mhm.
trimmers, blowers. It's electric. I do not like mechanicking when I get that. You finally get that little window to go do something in the yard, and it's like nothing wants to run.
Right.
So yeah, I've went electric on those things. Now my lawnmower, I'm kind of stuck because you know, I'm not pushing this with electric lawnmower. But you was talking about making for for other businesses and stuff.
Mhm.
And hello, Michelle. That's one of the things that I do. Like I said, making stuff for May May and some of the other people around me, some of the other businesses, and trying to support other local businesses, because that's, we're all in it together. In a sense, because your local ecosystem, those small businesses make up the bulk of the businesses in your community. So I think that's really cool. We went yesterday to our meat distributor, which is Calfee Cattle. They had an event over there, and we went and picked up some meats to get us by and shop with some other vendors while we were there. I got me some butter pecan ice cream. It was pretty off the chain. Got to meet a fellow that does laser work from about 30 minutes away. He had some really good, really cool products. Got to talk to him. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I like collaborating with, like, work with other businesses in the area. So
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
it's actually what I'm trying to focus more on, is reaching out to other businesses that I can work with on this, because having, I'm not 16 months away from retiring. I am 16 years maybe away from retiring, and so
Sorry about that.
yeah. So for me, working with other businesses on, maybe a small bulkish job like this is easier to fit into my schedule with family, with normal job and career I got to worry about, than trying to work with the onesie twosies and planning. I'm going to go to this weekend market and these other things. For me right now, it makes more sense to try to partner with them, and be able to work on that more in my evening time than try to plan around these other events. So it's not
Yeah.
for everyone. Everybody's kind of got their niche, and so, but it's something to consider if you're doing this as a small business, as another revenue stream, and maybe a little more regularity to it. Like you've got your stove covers and cutting boards. As monotonous as those repeat jobs can be, it's kind of a
Hey, that's
somewhat
what
of a
pays the power
staple.
bill. So
Exactly. Yep.
but yeah, Junk Journal Shop has a question, and this is probably something that you would be more suited to answer. It
Mhm.
says really trying to find some help. Got the WeCreate 20 watt, and apparently it's a question about cutting EVA foam. Some say no, and I guess he's wanting our opinion. I don't duel with EVA, but I know you have with that model airplane stuff.
Yeah, and it's very popular with cosplay people in creating, you know parts and pieces to costumes and such. So as long as it's true EVA foam, yes, it is safe to cut. There will be a bit of smell and it leaves a bit of a residue, but it doesn't create any harmful vapors that are going to be bad for you or your machine, as would something that has vinyl in it and such. Um, so it's as long as you can confirm that it is true EVA foam, it is safe. It cuts pretty well. Now on a diode, it's going to still have the same limitations of it's going to cut the dark colors, but it's going to struggle or not do anything on the lighter colors. So if you're using like a gray, um, that's the one I like to use a lot. It works very well.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't played around with that. I think I had some that was EVA, but I'm not sure what it was. It was a long time ago, and I haven't fooled with any of it since then. Uh, whew. Norbert said he bought, and I think I had an email back and forth with Norbert today. Said he bought Mark Patterson's old D1,
Mm.
but it's in really good condition. Finally got it to fire and cut and light burn, but having to run it in current position to get it to fire. You don't have to, Norbert. I don't know what is going on with the machine, but me and Steve both have had a non-pro version of the D1, and you can home it. It operates just like the rest of these machines without limit switches. Sometimes the homing is not as accurate as others because it marks more off of the steppers and the resistance to the steppers and that type of thing. But I ran one for a long time, and if you really want to be particular about it, and you're doing something that's really critical, it's not a bad idea to figure out a way to hand home it to make sure it's exact every time. But you can still do a lot of the same stuff, especially if it's a cut and engraved to where it doesn't matter if it's a millimeter or two off. But you can just still do a lot of good work with a D1 standard.
Yeah.
What's your input? I know you ran one before I got mine, so
Yeah, and I ran mine a lot in just current position, and so if I was trying to set up something like multiple, I'd still create a jig, but I would set the start point, like I would put the point of the square
yeah,
as my home point, and then run from there. Um, the D1 Pro has the limit switches, but we all know if you don't have your cabling just exactly right, it still gives you issues and such. So um, that's probably the biggest downfall of the D1 series is just the homing was difficult with the original one. A lot of people would set up they might 3D print or they'd cut out a like a corner square that they would just move it to every time. And as long as they moved it mechanically back into that point and then set that as a home point, that's like you were saying, kind of manually homing it themselves. And then with the Pro, of course, having the better, making sure your wiring is fine. But you could get used to just running it in current position mode and sort that out.
yeah, yeah. Because when LaserBox Basic came out, that was the way it was set up to run. It didn't have a absolute coordinate. Whew. Eesh. All
And
right, yeah. Steve,
just
Greg is
for
commenting on my clack over there.
just for example, this is a small piece of EVA foam that I cut out, and this is just like a little wire keep kind of thing. So you can actually, if I can get that in frame right, you can kind of squish it. You see it's like flexible. So I could actually stretch this around wires, and then I could like just glue it to the side of an airplane or something. And these were all cut with a laser. I've done it on both CO2 and diode. So like I say, it just creates a little bit of you'll get a little bit of kind of a char on the side of it from the vaporization of the foam. So
Yeah,
depending on what you're doing, you might want to have a paper towel handy and just kind of wipe the edges. But it does work fine. I have never had a problem with it. There's a little bit of a, like with anything synthetic, it doesn't smell the greatest, kind of like when you're engraving acrylic, but you can definitely do it.
yeah. Burn car print. The stuff that I get is not actually coming from Lowe's. Lowe's has some that works. It's a little more expensive, and it doesn't work quite as well as the stuff that I get here locally. But the stuff I get locally is more white, and it's a different kind of wood, and I don't know exactly what is in it. I've asked them, but they're basically a regional store, so Russell Do It Center, and I don't know where they get the stuff from. It doesn't have labels or anything on it, but I can't find plywood like that anywhere else that I like to use for projects. The stuff you get from Lowe's is a little harder, and dustier. It's a little harder, and it doesn't burn quite the same. It doesn't cut as well. Me and Steve have tested most everything they've got at Lowe's and Home Depot, and I'm going to tell you, I can't find anything in either one of those stores that works as good as this stuff that I get from the Russell Do It Center. And if you live outside of Alabama, the chances of you having a Russell Do It Center are slim to none, because it is like a regional chain. It's not. I don't. It's not even outside Alabama that I know of. It's only within like 60 miles of uh, Russell County. I think it's Russell County, or either it's over around Alexander City, is where they're out of. So
And I missed an opportunity. I should have
you should
had
have
you
grabbed
grab a
some.
couple. I should have had you grab a couple more sheets and broken it down. So I could have brought some back with me for when we're comparing stuff. But I guess that's just another reason I gotta make another trip.
Yeah, next time maybe we will. But yeah, if I thought about it, because I get a lot, because when you're breaking your material down, you always end up with these little odd shaped pieces that aren't really big enough to make big projects with. So I've got like a stack of this size. Like every time because I'll buy I buy anywhere from 10 to 15 sheets at a time. And when I cut it down, I'll have just 2 foot high stacks of these. And I usually give them to people like that come over for training to use to learn. Like my buddy Bill the other day, he had a laser, but he didn't have any material. So I handed him a stack of those little small pieces. And I was like, hey, go take this with you and practice with this. But I've gotten, I used a couple pieces to make my little GoPro adapter for cameras for recording and stuff. Just small projects, but anything big, I got to use the 37.5 inch sheets. But yeah, next time you're down here, we'll have to remember. We'll have to make a checklist next time.
Yeah, it doesn't. You can't beat that price. What you're able to get that there. The stuff that I've found that's worked really well that you can get is off of Home Depot's website. They have these project packs of like 10 sheets, and I forget, they're like 19 by 12 or something like that. They're kind of made for this size, like the Glowforge and diode lasers and such. And they don't stock it. Like, I wish they had the full sheets at my local Home Depot, but they don't. And I'm not sure that too many of them do. But it's got a really light. I hate to even call it MDF. It's almost like a light LDF core, like a poplar core or something, with a thin veneer on each side. And they've got it in birch, maple, cherry, walnut. You can pick your flavor, and it cuts very nice because the bulk of the inside, one layer is all the same material, but it's not. I think it's for a 10 pack of them. It's somewhere around like $45 to $55, depending on the variety. And so
Yeah.
it's not the cheapest option, but it's a high quality veneer on each side, and it's very consistent. So it'd be the kind of thing, once you kind of worked up a design and you're happy with it, scale it up for the thickness of this. But know that you're going to have to take the cost into account. Your stuff is great for kind of all purpose, inexpensive jigs on up to painted items to whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the stuff that we get, it's not, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's the highest quality material you can buy. It's not. But I think it's been between $13 and $16 for a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet. If I got a couple of pieces that aren't suitable, okay. But the little guy that works there knows me, and so like he'll pull a sheet off and go, "How about this one? Yep, that was good. All right, how about this one? All right, yep, that was good." And then the next one may have like a big streak of that putty down the middle of
Yeah.
it, and
Yep.
he's like, "You're not going to take this one, are you?" And I'm like, "Nope," and he'll throw it to the side. And so I mean, they know what I'm looking for. So when I go up there, like I said, the little guy that works in the back, he's like, "How many sheets today?" I don't even, because he knows what I'm coming for.
Yep.
And so I've had pretty good luck. Now Klein had to learn that the hard way because he just let this guy load him one day, and he got a couple of bad sheets that weren't for what we're using it for. It didn't work, but if you're putting it under flooring or something like that, or behind tile or whatever, it works fine. But for what we're using it for, we don't want all the little glue pockets and stuff. And so once they figure out what you're getting it for, they're pretty good at picking it out. So. But for $16 a sheet, I mean, 10
Yeah.
sheets of it last me for months, even
Yeah.
doing big jobs and stuff.
Yeah. That's a pretty hard price to beat. So.
Yup. Uh,
Jim's asking, is there a way to export a kerf adjusted SVG from Lightburn? I need to edit a Lightburn project to bring over to XCS for my P2. I don't think so, because it basically adds that kerf into the G code. So you can export the G code, but I don't believe you can import that into XCS. What I've done in the past, what I used to do was, in my design software, I'd actually offset all my lines in or out based on my kerf for my CO2. This goes back to when I was using RDWorks and just starting and knowing I need to adjust it. So if you can export that into, say, Inkscape, and then just do an offset of your, 0.1 millimeter or so, then export that SVG into XCS, you'd probably be able to do it. But I'm not aware of a way to do it in Lightburn outside of being able to export the G code.
yeah. Mike, I found a really easy solution for making sure the batteries are never dead. and that is using DeWalt. Because as you guys know, and Steve has seen firsthand, I have an army of DeWalt batteries, and because I use them in the shop daily, they're always charged because I've always got like 4 on the charger over there, and I just hot swap those guys. And so even if I go to like my mom's house to do her weed eating, I can literally take 10 batteries with me, and you can cut a lot of weeds with 10 batteries.
Yeah, and I did look at DeWalt's mower last year, but I think this is a case of them building a mower around their current ecosystem of batteries, and the 20 volts, even stacked together to 40 volts, just aren't enough.
Yeah.
I think on all their other tools are great. So I actually went with the Ego, because they built the electric power tool system first, and then created batteries around it. And they've got a quick charger. Like I say, for mine, it uses maybe a third of the battery to do our yard, and so I'm okay with that. I agree though. If I had to like worry about, are they charged, or I ran out half job, I wouldn't have done that. But for our size
Yeah.
yard here, it wasn't an issue.
Jeffrey, no, there's really not any other market out there that I want to fool with. Maintaining Etsy is a bit of a bit of a job in itself. Like somebody commented earlier, asked me how many people were asking is this a physical product, even though I've got like my posts all say digital, 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 digital. But yeah, that's I don't like I said, I stay with Etsy because it's simpler. It ties into my bookkeeping software. It keeps things really simple. Look there. There's old Bill himself. Said he's over there running some cut tests. He has the new, and I've got to get the video out on the one that I've got here, but I was having too much fun this weekend. I didn't get it done. But I've got the brand new Algo Laser Alpha MK2. And, me and you've talked about it. How hard is it to make machines work on Lightburn? Well, dude, that machine, it's a breeze. Like you program your Wi-Fi network on the touch screen, connect it to the Wi-Fi network. It shows you on the screen what the IP address is. Pop that in the Lightburn, and it works. I have powered the machine off and on. I have power cycled my computer. It works. Now, the only caveat that I see that could become a problem is if you have a dynamic IP for it. Eventually, that could be a problem. But then all you would have to do is power it on, look at the display, see what IP address it's using, and then change it. But of course, I'm not as nerdy as you are, but I'm a little bit nerdy. So I've already assigned a static IP address to the machine, and so it's flawless.
Well, and that was going to be my question. I saw your short on it to see if it's, what happens when it, gets assigned a new address and how difficult that is. Because I think that would be frustrating for some people. And so I didn't get a chance to get it hooked up, but I've got that new Sculpt Fun. That has a wireless setup in it as well. That's supposed to be compatible with Lightbird. So I'm hoping as I get this other video, the clack and a hat video done, that I'll be able to play around with that wireless feature, and then of course the laser in general to see, because I think that's going to be something that they start needing to look at as a standard. People don't want to mess with the cables and the wire, or the USB hubs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. What was it? I was going to tell you something. Somebody said something. Dang it. Oh, I forgot. I missed it. I lost it. Oh, don't be careful how loud you say the word Sculpt Fun around Bill. He has fell in love with cube. He's fell in love with the cube and the Ultra.
Oh, okay.
He's got the Ultra too now.
Well,
and now he has an Algo. So
he might get jealous about this one because this is a 40-watt unit. So
yeah, it's a 40-watt Sculpt Fun.
Yeah. Well, he'll have to watch my video here. But so yeah, Rob's commenting. So last week we talked about the X-Tool Ultra F1, saying I was not high on the X-Tool F1, and I just want to clarify. So we talked a little bit about it, and there are some creators who have gotten them, and X-Tool had reached out to, sounds like both Clack and I about it. We weren't really supposed to say anything about it. and we were told we would be getting them, and that now we have been told, oh well, they're delayed. Um, and that's fine. But what you're seeing right now is a very scripted launch of the X-Tool F1. The creators are being told you can only say this much about it. They do not want anybody showing anything about it, and so that's where I'm just telling everyone be cautious. I mean, there's this whole fear of missing out when these new launches happen. You know, they're offering put down $100 deposit and get $1,000 off the machine. Well, I don't think you're going to be missing out on that price if you wait until after the launch. Marketing gimmicks are out there all the time. And so my cautionary tale is wait until some people that you trust get their hands on them and actually start testing them out. Because Xtool is a good brand, but they do like to get their money for their equipment, and they do like to have you use their software. Now they've been developing their software. Their software has been getting a lot better, and I do actually still like using it at this point.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of money to gamble on. You haven't seen anyone actually use it or actually say anything that's their own words. And if
Yeah.
Xtool's watching our streams, they're probably getting
Well,
a clack, and I don't know, but
well, you know, I know, I'm pretty sure I know why we didn't get the first run. It's because obviously from the videos that I've seen, and it's nothing against the machine. They've sent me a couple of machines pre-release that were a little buggy, and they were working on the bugs. But I'm like you. The videos that I've seen, like each video, you can tell that they were kind of checking off boxes in the video. It was like this, okay, I got that. I don't like doing those videos anyway.
no.
And Xtool knows that I have a no script policy on my videos. And whether you like my videos or whether you don't, I'm sorry, but that is how my creative mind works. What comes out of my head goes into my videos. And every company I work with knows that if they send me a script or if they tell me they're going to send me a script, I'm going to tell them to keep their machine. So I think that's why me and you kind of got pushed back a little on that one.
Yeah.
Is they're going to wait until they get all the bugs worked out of it.
Well,
and then let us have it. And
yeah,
I think it's an awesome idea. Now, is it pricey? Yes. Given the choice, would I prefer to have it or a P2? Because it's they're getting pretty close in comparison to prices. There's some things that I think I'm not heartbroken about it because I don't know that the folks that watch me would want to spend that kind of money on a machine with that small of a work area. So I do want to try it out. I do want to see it. I want to be able to give a review on it. And eventually I think I will. But for now, I'm comfortable not getting it. But there's a bit of a race right now on the lasers again. It's the race for lasers. It goes and comes. And there's a couple of companies that I know they've got some stuff in development that is probably shaking up the market a little bit. And everybody wants to be the first. That's the first this, the first that. So sometimes I think maybe they push stuff out quicker than what they probably should. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I love my Xtool machines. Don't get me wrong. That little guy right there is awesome for what it is for doing small stuff.
Yep.
I just don't know that 3 times that big is going to be as useful as that little guy. We've discussed it too. I mean, at some point it gets to where it's a little cumbersome taking it to events and stuff. So I think this was a really good little niche market that they hit with this machine, the S1, the P2. I just did the leather with my P2 because other than the Monport, I had never tried leather on a CO2, and I wanted to see how it worked. And so I did leather on it the other day, done a really good job, and done a pretty decent job. You know how leather is. I mean, there's no argument when you walk into the room what you're engraving, and it actually contained the odor really well. So that was a surprise because in the past I was doing leather before I had proper exhausts. It's awful.
Yeah. So the same vein there. They asked me like, hey, maybe you could do this promo video to promote the pre-sale thing, and I'm just like, I'm not going to talk about a laser I can't physically look at. I mean, and my spin on the script is if they tell me they have talking points, I said, okay, I am going to test your talking points. And if they fail, I will let people know. Or if they are unrealistic, I will let people know. And, so if I don't have the machine in hand, I can't do that. I don't feel comfortable talking about it other than in this, hey, this is what we've seen. This is my impression. But I'm not going to do a special video on it because it I don't know, it feels icky to me. So
Yeah, and they want you to like, hey, can you do a teaser video on this machine and talk about this? And it's like,
yep,
well, I would, but I can't verify that it, like you said, I can't verify
right.
that it actually does that.
So,
But
but
I've never raked any of these companies over the coals if they had an issue or if there was a
right.
bug or whatever. But there again, like I said, there will come a time that we'll get to try it out one way or the other.
So,
If not,
like,
then we'll just move on.
but going back to that, there are other machines out there. I don't have personal experience with the the G machine. What are they? Week? I
Gweeky.
forget how
I've
they
seen a couple
Gweek.
of videos and they weren't terrible, but like I said, I've never had my hands on one.
So the other question on this is there are different types of fiber sources that give different options, different frequency levels, which allow you to do more advanced or things with it. So it's not like 20-watt fiber is a 20-watt fiber is a 20-watt fiber. Uh, I would imagine the G2 20-watt is very similar to the comm markers that you and I have. So, if you're looking at those, you can look back at our videos on that one, maybe search some other people that have videos on the G2. The price point, I mean, $1,600 right now for that one is in line with what I would want to pay for a 20-watt fiber if I was in the market. That's probably on the lower end of it. So, but unfortunately, I've never dealt with the company themselves on any of their machines, so I really can't speak to that specific one. But
Yeah. Well, Miss Sharon, actually do have a pretty good idea of what's probably going on with your machine and with your speed tests and stuff. And reason is because I was a victim of it myself. So I'm going to swap you over to the screen down below, and I'll show you where to look. And a lot of my old speed tests that I created, it changed with some of the updates. So let me get that here on the screen, and I'll show you. So when you go into your laser tools, you go to material tests. Anytime you open up, and guys, yes, I have a whole bunch of speed and power tests. I'll open up one I haven't used in a while. Let's see if it's set up that way. Hang on, there's one. All right, I haven't used this one in a while, so there's a really good chance that if I go over here to the edit text settings, well, this one actually is. Make sure up top that this little switch right here is engaged, because I had several of my speed tests that little output button up top was not engaged on them, and so it wasn't doing anything. Now here, that's no big deal. But now you can turn the text off and on here as well. So just double check that if that's what you're talking about, because I had done a lot of them and the text did not show up. And then once I went in here and found out that it wasn't turned on there. So maybe that's your problem. You're saying that it works in other projects, so I'm assuming that's most likely going to be the culprit. Look, there's another Sculpt Fun fan. Hey, they make good machines. That's what I told Bill when he come pick that one up, because I had to give him training on how to use it and all that and adjust, which we haven't really gotten deep into the adjustment, but that one was already put together when he picked it up and everything. But that machine's not a bad machine. I wish it was a 30 watt as big as the work area is, but it's only a 20. What you got in the box?
what is in the box? Well, this is what I was originally after when Sculpt Fun had reached out about some of their latest stuff. And I know we've talked about rotaries before.
Uh-oh, is this that huge rotary that you think is going to change my mind on rotaries?
I'm not going to say it's necessarily going to change your mind, but it may be a very similar option. So this is their latest rotary.
Remarkably similar.
Hold on. So this is side-by-side comparison. They're about the same length.
Okay, so somebody's cloned it. Yeah, I mean, it does look a lot like the Atom Stack. So, I mean,
it's very, very close as far as.
Now they put the rollers on the chuck instead of having two different machines.
So yeah, they did, but you can remove them. So there's these little.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna be honest
screws on
with
the
you.
bottom.
If you have a chuck, I don't know why you'd want the rollers. From my experience, there are
Very
some
yeah.
jobs that you need rollers for, but that chuck's kind of in the way for those jobs, in my opinion. It's like the RA2 Pro.
Yep. So I have to look at that because I agree. There's very few times that I would use the rollers over the chuck rotary, but it's nice to see another option out there that's similar to that
Oh, yeah.
from another company, because it's always nice when you can use the branded. If you've got a SculptFun laser, use their rotary, because
Yeah.
if and when you have issues, that they're more likely to support it. But yeah, this came in, like I said, very, very similar to the Atom Stack one. I think
What's the price on that one?
That is a good question.
Comparable, or is it a lot cheaper? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if it's a lot cheaper, I'd just buy it and take the rollers off of it.
Well, I want to say they may even have a version that this is the RA Pro Max. They may have an RA Pro that doesn't have the rollers. So, I'll have to find that really quick. But yeah, SculptFun's been around for a while, and they, for the longest time, they had your typical 20 by 20 extrusion machines, very similar to the early Atom Stack ones as well. But this new one is, more custom extrusion and such. Came mostly assembled. So far, the assembly was a breeze. There wasn't a whole lot to it. So I'm very curious to see how this stacks up. Of course, it's an open frame; it's not enclosed. But yeah, they're one of the companies that's been fun to work with in the past on their machines. The only issue is they're similar to where they have a lot of lines that are very similar.
Yeah.
And so that sometimes you get a little blurriness. And then earlier machines too, that like the limit switches were an add-on option in some of their mid-grade ones at the point where I felt they should have been standard. But
yeah.
But anyway, that came in. So
cool. I may have to get them to send me one of those 40 watts. I'd like to try that out.
So they do. Okay, so they do have the SculptFun RA Pro without the rollers is 160.
That's not bad.
So it's in line with what the other one is.
I'd be curious to know if the steps per rotation are the same as the Atom Stack. You should research that for me when you get a chance. When you start installing it, just see if it is, because I'd be curious to know if it's the same steps. Well, I didn't want you to have to do it right now. I'm just saying when you start doing your review or whatever. ET, I don't. I can tell you right now, with a 10-watt diode for 1/4-inch material, you're looking at anywhere from 4 to 5 passes at 6 millimeters a second. That is my cut speed for most any machine is 6 millimeters a second. It just depends on the number of passes. Every material is going to vary. And if I give you a setting and you use it, it may be too slow, it may be too fast. Test, and test some more is my advice. Like if I go for a long time without using one of my machines, when I fire it up, I'll do a little quick test just to confirm everything, because even the humidity in the material can cause it to cut differently. So I don't do a whole lot of that. I mean, jump off points, like I said, do 6 millimeters a second, 3 or 4 passes, just throw you a little quick 5x5 speed test in there, scrap piece of material, and that'll let you know where you need to go. Okay. Milk Money says the iCube's 4 passes at 6. So he's still using my settings. But that's what Bill's saying, that he's still running on that one.
Well, do you want to know, or should I leave it as a surprise?
No, if you found out already, that's cool.
Do we need to do one of these steps per rotation reveal parties where I pop a balloon and it?
It's the same, ain't it?
No, it's not.
Really?
It is not.
Surprise.
It is 128 in chuck mode. So
that's shocking.
Might be a different stepper motor.
Yeah, I can't remember what that is on these. I have to look at the top of it. I've got them set up. I don't change them. But let's see. Lakeside Streams asking, have either of you guys used a revolutionary ply? Oh yeah, both of us have. 5 millimeter, 4 foot by 8 foot poplar sanded plywood from Lowe's. Yes, I have. Digging.
You okay down there?
I'm having a dig.
Help. He's falling and he can't get up. Boy, it must be really buried down there.
Yes, I've done a lot of testing since then. But yeah, let's see. That's not it. Oh, should have sent this with Bill the other day. Let's see. That is that's poplar from Home Depot or Lowe's. Pine, oak. Let's see. This is okay. Here, this is that stuff that's got strings in it. I don't know what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. It's got the little strings. Like when you cut it, it's almost got like strings inside.
Yeah, that's. Was that from Lowe's or somewhere else?
It's either Lowe's or Home Depot. One of the two. Maybe Home Depot. And then there's the revolutionary ply, revolution ply, or whatever.
Now yours.
I did a video on testing Lowe's woods, and this is actually from that video.
Let me go grab my stash of stuff.
Yeah, but I got a video. If you're using stuff from Lowe's, I got a video on all the testing that I did. This white stuff, not a fan. It burns really bad, and it has those strings in it, so sometimes it doesn't cut all the way through. The other, this more of a birch. This is like the birch that you get there. It actually does pretty well. Got some pretty good results. And that's what the Algo Alpha 20 watt worked out pretty well. But yeah,
I think it's been a while since I've bought stuff at Lowe's for material. So there's this.
Yeah, that's that white stuff.
It's like reddish on this side and then more blonde on this side.
Yeah.
I thought this was the Revolution ply.
Maybe it is. I can't. Like I said, I would have to go back and watch my own video to find out.
I was doing some testing with this on the X-Tool 20 watt Pro, and in smaller pieces it seemed fine, but when I tried to cut out a bigger pattern, I was finding all these pockets where there's just glue spots or whatever that it wouldn't cut through. And it was very frustrating. So I kind of gave up on this stuff, but this is the thing. It can be regional where they have similar material labeled the same, but up here might be different from what they have down south and such. So your mileage may vary region to region, as with everything else.
Yeah. In that video, and I just dropped a link to the video. That's where I did the Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. I actually took pictures of the tags as I purchased it and all that so that I would know what was what, that wasn't distinguishable. But yeah. And he said, Edward's saying that that's the Revolution ply that has the strings in it. Okay. So
yeah, there was another, it was like Tiger ply or something. I got it from Menards up here, and it cut really well, but it had that nylon cording in it. And when you hit that with the diode, it would just,
it's like dental floss.
Bad. But now the P2, the CO2, that wavelength seems to cut through it really nice. So I'll run that through the CO2 lasers, but the diode.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I could test it with the P2. I've got some more of it left because I haven't used it for anything.
See if it gives you a difference.
And I could technically test it with a 70, see if it'll melt through it.
Yeah.
But
or start a big fire.
Yeah. Pat says she loves the hat and shirt, Clack Twin. Guys,
he's slowly kind of going.
Steve has thrown down the gauntlet, so I'm just letting you guys know. I don't know when it'll be, but the wheels are turning, and I'm going to get Steve back. Y'all wait.
Hey, now I want you to see this because I tried to make it as lifelike as possible.
Oh my gosh, whatever. Whew, that's awful. Mm,
Okay, you're slouching here a little bit. You'd normally be another inch or two taller, but
yeah, I got you. I got you. And I have no neck, so
well, I'm just waiting for it to fall off at this
or either
point.
I'm doing this. I'm not sure which.
The painter's tape is just not holding up.
Yeah. Dennis said he's been using the EGO for 4 years now. Really happy with it.
Yeah.
Guessing that's one of the plywoods.
No, that's the mower brand.
Oh, okay, okay. I was trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
the
Okay, I got
Ego
you.
or yeah, I think it's Ego. Yeah, no, I know a number of people that are very happy. One of my neighbors has this as well, and they actually make a nice snowblower as well. So I may be getting rid of my last gas tool here this winter. So
Wow, Johnny. Don't know who your Santa Claus was, but that's a pretty good gift to get right there.
hmm.
HRP 20 with the rotary and everything. That's
Hopefully it was the Chuck rotary.
yeah.
That's I mean
It's the
I mean
same as the Adam
either
stack.
rotary is nice, but yeah, the eights are they've got the Chuck rotary that's just the same as the Atom stack, and it's a very nice one.
Yeah, and the steps are the same on it too. So it is like literally a clone. Oh, I installed it to the light burn and it can't find the homing switches. What do you mean it can't find the homing switches? Sounds like maybe you got your origin wrong. If you're saying it's grinding, if what you mean is when you try to home it, it grinds and sounds like uh you're missing second gear, then there's a really good chance your origin is wrong. Turn the auto home off until you get that resolved. But when you first power it up, use the arrows to see if when you hit right, if it goes right, or if you hit left, if it goes left. And if it doesn't, check your origin. The origin on the Acer should be front left, right? Yeah, it works just like the Atom stacks. It's basically an out stack controller. So the origin should be front, this side left, front left, or front left. So if the origin is not front left, that's what's happening. It's not anything about not finding the limit switches, unless you've got them turned off in the controller settings, which somebody could have, but not likely. Lance said he just got home from 2 events. Fun weekend. Yeah, shows can be fun and can be profitable, but they can be tiring as well. Oh, look at that. Oh, wait a minute.
I did see they dropped a video on it.
They told me they were coming out with that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they dropped a video just a couple days ago on that.
Huh. I might need to go check that out. Oh, that would be kind of cool if I had an automatic tool changer. Oh, oh. I might have to go check that out and see. Oh man, I'm way behind in the comments.
Are you?
Yeah, I almost want to skip down, catch up, but I'm afraid I'll leave somebody out. Uh, now, I will say this, and I don't even think I've told you this yet, Steve, but I may have a MOPA coming. 30 watt.
I've been teased with those before.
Well, this is, we'll see. Like I said, I don't count my chickens until I get the shipping notification, and half the time I don't count them then because it may take 6 months to get here. But yeah, it's a possibility, and it's starting to look more possible. So we'll see how it goes. Oh, there we go. Enjoy the AirTag video. Was interested in trying to make a few until I researched the price of AirTags. Well, Mark, I will tell you this right now. The price of AirTags is not really cheap. They're not terrible on Amazon, but have you priced having a key made for a 2018 or newer vehicle lately? It's a lot cheaper than an AirTag, a lot more expensive than an AirTag. So the last key we had made at work, I think just one key was $300 something because you have to have it programmed to the vehicle. So yeah, I will gladly pay. I think it's $30 a piece for the tags if you buy them in a pack of 5. I will gladly pay that $30 to keep from losing something. And I will be honest with you, like when my kids go places, you can take one of those things and stick it to their backpack or their belt loop, or hide it in their purse or whatever. With like especially with younger kids, that way if they were to get lost or lose their purse, it's easy to find. So they're really handy. I like them. Matter of fact, I'm fixing to order some more of them. Let's see here. Okay, well now I'm back to the revolutionary ply.
What if you don't have an iPhone?
Then you probably don't need AirTag. I don't know. I think they actually have an app that you could use them with other phones, but it'd probably be buggy.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into them. I know I know a few people that have them, and they still seem to manage to lose their keys somehow. But yeah, inexpensive way to have an extra layer of finding
Yeah.
your lost valuables.
Yeah, well, I've got mine set up to where, like, if I get a mile from the house and I don't have my keys, it'll let me know. Because especially in my truck, you don't want to get somewhere and hit that button and shut that thing down and not have a key with you.
Yeah,
Because that would be bad. But my personal truck, typically, I haven't tried. I think if you take the key out of the truck, I don't think it'll actually go into drive. I think I turned that on because you have to turn. There's things that you could turn on and turn off, and I left that turned on. That way, if I got out of the truck, went in the house, laid my keys down, jumped back in the truck, and took off, it wouldn't allow me to leave my key behind. But that would. These new keys are expensive.
yep.
All right, so ET said he's going to a local event Saturday with his iCube 10 watt. We'll be using a stylus pad to allow people to write their name so I can engrave it on keychains. Now, that's pretty cool. That's a second layer of customization. Not only is it their name, but it'll be in their handwriting. That's pretty neat. That's a good idea. Now, some people may not want it in their handwriting, but you have the option to if they want. So,
Yeah, I've seen people do that before, and I think especially when they want, like Mother's Day, Father's Day gifts, they'll get the kids to write their name or something
mm-hmm.
and things like that. I see that go over well, and if you could get a workflow to do that on the fly at the point of sale, I think that could definitely drum up sales and probably interest from showing people using the laser.
Yep. Lance is saying that it's pretty easy to set up new lasers in Lightburn. I'll be doing my first with the A24. Oh, is it pretty easy? I'll be doing my first with the A24 Pro this week. I didn't have any issues with the A24 being recognized by Lightburn. Did you?
No.
Why is there a zzz in front of your screen now?
Because you're falling asleep.
Oh
it was supposed to be transparent, but it's not.
Hey, somebody failed miserably at the transparency there.
Yeah. Wah, wah. You need your sound effects.
They don't work tonight. I'm fixing to swap my sound effects to a different software. This software is really bugging me. Matt has a question. He says, I have the S140 watt, which you lovingly call the S40.
Yes, it's the S40 is much better.
It seems to be when I'm engraving painted canvas on my laser, stops 3/4 of the way through the job. XCS says it's still processing, even though it's not. Oh,
are you connected via USB or Wi-Fi?
That sounds like a disconnect.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be that the on Windows 10 and 11 really like to push their power saving features, and one of them is actually to turn off inactive USB ports. And so you need to go into your power settings and dig deep into finding your actual USB settings to tell them to not go to sleep. And he says,
and I actually have a video on that.
He says,
I know that's a shocker.
Okay, he says he's already done that.
Is it why? I mean, you're not controlling it by Wi-Fi, are you?
No, he says it's via USB, and all ports are not set to sleep.
Well, I mean, it's like he's doing canvas. I'm guessing probably going pretty high speeds. It isn't a tilt sensor or something getting triggered. Are you getting any errors or anything?
Well, the other thing, did I say cleaned it and pulled the module apart? So I've had, depending on the paint, and how well it's dried and how it vaporizes. I've actually had on earlier lasers, I've had my nozzle get clogged up from the paint vapor. Are you running air assist on it, and was that looking clogged up at all? Because over time, that vaporization of the paint is going to stick to things if it's not getting pulled out.
Well, I mean, by saying the laser stops, do you mean it quits moving or it just quits having any effect?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. If the laser's still moving but it's not firing, be something to look at. Because usually, if the laser straight up stops and the software still thinks it's going, it's some sort of communication thing. Air assist seems good. All was flowing great.
Don't know. That sounds fishy.
Could be some sort of streaming issue with the file sending to the.
I'm assuming, are we using Lightburn or XCS? He said XCS, didn't
And
he?
I said XCS. Yeah, I'm trying to just think back because it tries to send the job as before it's starting it, but if it's a bigger one, it may only send X amount of it before it starts. What else to check?
Well, yeah, I think that the S1. Well, I know for a fact it has a micro SD card in it. Matter of fact, it is located right here on the board. So it could, depending on how old the machine is, they don't put the best SD card, micro SD cards in these things. You could have you could be running into a read write error on the card maybe, but to get to the SD card in it though, you got to pull the board out of it because it's on the back. This is the front of the card, and this is the back. So that would be a booger bear to get to that. I don't know that I'd want to try that.
Yeah, I haven't tried to pull that card. I know in some lasers, people have had to format the card to get them to work and or to solve some of those issues with larger files, or replace it with a better card.
Now, I did learn when I was doing this that you can actually pull the error logs on that machine, and if you'll email Xtool and tell them what it's doing and pull those error logs and send them, they may be able to tell you exactly what's happening by looking at those logs. And it may be a simple thing as a patch or an update or a formatting the card or whatever in there. So that would probably be, I would probably reach out to them and see if that's a recurring problem they've had. That's what they did on this one. They got me to pull the logs off of it, which now this one wouldn't do anything. My machine would not boot. Like this guy, like just died. It wouldn't do anything. But I would probably reach out to them and see. That definitely sounds like either a communications error or either the files getting corrupted when it's saved to the machine. One of the two.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear what's really going on with that. But this one you probably have more experience on this, but Dennis is asking, comparatively speaking, is the Lasermatic 20 watt faster at engraving than most other 20 watt lasers?
In terms of movement speeds and what I refer to as being nimble, because just like with my X40, it engraved speeds 40 watts, you can move on. It'll move. Where the X40 lacks is when it does this design, and then there's another design, 6 inches away that it's got to move to. It crawls to get there. So in that aspect, the MK2 is very quick. The MK2, the Algo Laser Alpha, and then this new Alpha MK2, this thing moves so fast that if you don't have your frame rate on your camera set right, you can't see it move on video. Like it just appears. So those are probably the 3 fastest moving machines as far as going from point A to point B during a job that I've ever run across. Is the MK2, the Rolly, the Alpha, and the new MK2 Alpha. So in that sense, yes, if you're doing a multiple, like if it's got a bunch of little small parts all over the place and it's having to go from here to here to here to here, that part of the cut and that part of the burn, yes, is going to be faster. The actual engraving, if you're just engraving a big square that's like 6 inches by 6 inches, most of these machines are going to engrave that at about the same amount of time. But when you start getting to where you're doing, if you were doing 20 1 inch squares spaced 6 inches apart, that's where these other machines would have an advantage. It's something in the travel speeds when the laser's not active. There are some machines that just move insanely fast, so fast that if you blink, you'll miss them moving from point A to point B, and it's ridiculous. I'm gonna do a little bit more testing with this Alpha MK2, but it very well may be the fastest machine I've ever tested as far as going from little part to part. I mean, it's quick. Now I've heard that the new MK3 that they're coming out with is going to be even faster as far as like traverse speeds or whatever, but we'll see.
Fun. Oh, we got Patrick joining us late, spending some time with his family doing Bible study. But good to see you here, Patrick.
How are you?
If you're not familiar with Patrick, he also has a really good channel. If you're interested in fiber lasers, you definitely should check out his channel for content. He's done a lot with them, a lot more than David and I have. So,
Oh yeah,
got curiosities or questions, definitely hit up his channel for some of his videos, and then he does a live stream with Rich. I think at least every other Saturday, but sometimes every Saturday. I think they commit to every other Saturday, and then sometimes drop a drop in one. So,
yeah.
But yeah, good to see you here.
Yeah, I was telling him last night he needs him a sawmill and a CNC because he went and found somebody that had a sawmill and got him a couple of live edge cutoffs and was talking about he was going to have to try to flatten them using a flattening sled. And I was like, yeah, you really need a sawmill and a CNC. So I don't know how much space he has, but he may even need to build a bigger shop to put his sawmill and his CNC.
Well,
because in his videos, it doesn't look like he's got a whole lot of room to be putting CNCs in.
Well, I mean, probably easier to put a CNC in than a sawmill, but a flattening sled. I think I still have mine. I made one and it fits on my assembly table, but I haven't used it in a while. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it's all the tools you wish you could have and have times for, but space, money,
yes,
parking, shop space, all that stuff, so
that is me. ORF travel stops. You probably missed this earlier. We kind of touched on it earlier. The X2 Ultra, we don't know. We haven't got to lay hands on it, and it's one of those things that we don't like to judge machines until we do, because whether it's a really expensive machine or a really cheap machine, you can't always go by that. So, I mean, like I got this little $200 job over here the other day, and I was not expecting a lot from it. I'm gonna be honest with you, but once it got here, I was like, okay, other than it's only 6 watts, but other than that, it does what every other laser I've had does. So, once we get the opportunity to try them out, maybe we can go a little deeper. I don't know that this is the Ultra is going to be something that a lot of people are going to want to go out and get, mostly because of the price tag, because it is up there in that you can buy a larger CO2 or you can buy a low end like a com marker or Monport or something like that fiber. I mean, you're starting to get up into that range to where you've got to have a special need for those two lasers in one machine with that work area for it to be justifiable. So I don't know if this is going to be their hottest selling item. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. We'll have to just see. If I get my hands on one of them, we'll find out. I'm curious to see, and I haven't seen anybody do it yet. It's kind of like we talked about earlier, the conveyor where it's like automatically picking out things and engraving them. I'm curious to see exactly how accurate that is. because I have a hard time. I have a hard time believing that it's going to be as accurate as they would like for it to be. I think there's going to
Yeah.
be some flaws in that.
Yeah, I think that's my excitement around it, is seeing some of the cool things they're trying to tie into it. You know, the fiber with the camera, but then also the conveyor is uh in theory a cool option, but how well does it work in practice is the question. Um, you know, as good as the dual camera system on the P2 is, I've still had it come out, you know, not well centered. And
Yeah.
they have that feature in there where you could just toss a bunch of, you know, wooden nickel shaped items on there and tell it to drop the, you know, drop the array in. It gets that close, but it's still slightly off a little bit. And that would be my fear on this one, where, you know, if you're dropping a bunch of, you know, charms and metal pieces on there for fiber engraving, having it feed through, and they're not perfectly centered, you could get pretty frustrated with it. So
And you can burn up a
um
bunch of inventory quick.
yeah, and so I mean, while I'm interested in seeing it, before I hype it or say, yeah, this is a great option for you, I want to see it actually work. And not I'm one of those I'm skeptical until I see it myself kind of things, you know.
Oh,
But
are you now? I never would have guessed.
well, like I said earlier, I'll take their talking points and I will test them. And you know, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like, pick any laser. They like to say, oh, this will cut through 25, 30 millimeter, whatever. And I'm like, okay, maybe, but it's definitely not going to be usable if you do it in one pass. You might have to do multiple passes. You might have to, you know,
Yeah.
and then is it really practical? I try to approach it from, can it do it? Maybe. And even if it does, is it really something that you're going to use?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I mean, would love to get our hands on one. Maybe we will, and we'll be able to speak better to it then.
Yeah. Mark said he did a 15-inch round weaved rope border using flood fill and could have used the Rolly's fast traverse. That thing jumps all over when using flood fill. Yeah, that's one of those. Like I said, that's one of those situations to where white space scan can be turned up faster on some of those machines. And like I said, when you're doing little tiny bits to an engrave, it just makes it go a little faster. It's not going to be any major advantage if you're just doing one or two, but if you're doing like 30 or 40, then a couple of minutes for 30 or 40 items, it adds up after a while.
Well,
So
and flood fill is one of those options that can definitely speed up your job, but you better be dang sure that your machine is not losing steps, because the more it jumps back and forth, the more chances it has to get off
yeah,
a step or two. And now you're going to start seeing those lines. So,
yeah. If you want to make sure your belts are tight, run flood fill
yeah.
because if they're not tight enough, you'll know. If they're too tight, you'll
Mhm.
know because you'll start seeing shadowing and stuff in your design.
Yep.
Jason's wanting to know when he should expect his ASMR delivery. Yeah. Well, good luck. Maybe so. Somebody's gonna get a nice little machine. Like I said, not gonna be a big. If you're planning on ripping down plywood with it, that's probably not what you want. But 3 millimeter material down, it does a really good job. The detail on it's really
So,
good.
so in case anybody's wondering what that's all about, Clack has recently taken in for review an ASMR 6-watt laser, and worked out a deal where he actually saved all the bags and the pieces, and he's doing a giveaway on this. So he's been doing some testing with it. He's even made some extra clactical features on it, and he's going to be giving this away soon. There's
Hey,
two
hey,
videos over on his channel.
it's even autographed.
Oh well, okay. So it's lost a little bit of value there, but it it's if you're interested in getting in on that, definitely head over to his channel, find one of his ASMR 6-watt videos. He's got a link, or maybe he even has a link in his video. I don't know.
You can
But
go to my you
he's
can go to
got
my website. Go to my website, and it's up top on the right corner. Register for the giveaway.
so that'll be coming up soon though. You've done all
Next
your
Sunday.
testing and everything. Oh, next
Next
Sunday.
Sunday. Yep. I was going
So
to do it this Sunday, but I had a lot going on, and I do have to break it down and put it back in the box and all that. And I wanted to keep it for a little while longer because I'm still thinking I might actually take and do like some custom engraving on it somewhere with the fiber to give it like some really, really identifiable distinguishing marks. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So check that out. And you have a chance to win a machine slightly defaced by Clack.
Well, I did it with Sharpie, so if you want it off of there, you could technically.
Okay, so just a little alcohol, you can take it off.
Yeah, you could technically get that off. Some folks had said I needed to engrave it, but I was like, not everybody wants that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I made a few parts for it, fixed the few little buggy things like the cable management, as well as I do, like the longer Ray 5, a lot of the Atom Stack, the really economy models that they used to release. Some of the sculpt funds, cable management is not at the top of their priority list with these machines. And that really bothers me because cable management is a priority to me. Because me and you both know from our days with the X Tool D1 that we were talking about earlier, cables can get in the way and cause some pretty serious problems if they cause binding or pinching or whatever. So when I first got this machine, that was one of the things I was like, okay, this cable management needs work. But I had already created that file for the Sculpt Fun S30. So I just needed to print it in orange. So I went back, printed some of those, and it's working really well. I've also, I don't know if you can see it. Look at the top of that Atom Stack A70. It's got some orange accent inserts in that extrusion on the front and back.
Yeah.
So I did that as well. The Asmer now has orange accents, a little flapjack orange going on. Notice right across the front. I bet yours doesn't have that. Woo! It's got a racing stripe. Yes, it's a racing stripe right there.
Yep. That's something that was commonly used in 3D printers to keep the random bits of filament from dropping in there. So.
Yep, and I repurposed it because this is the same, basically the same extrusion designs that they use on 3D printers. So I've printed out a bunch of those and been putting them everywhere.
Well, Stephanie's asking for the X Tool S1. Would you recommend the 20 or 40 watt for tumbler engraving? You could go either way. The thing that you get into with the tumblers is if you get them too hot, you're going to start burning and turning that stainless steel underneath kind of dark, and so then you gotta back off the power a little bit. So it's not going to hurt it unless either the 20 or 40 watt. You could probably overburn it on that with too slow speeds or too high a power. Between the two,
focus.
Between the two, yeah. I mean, if you can get the 40 watt, I would, because it gives you that upper band if in any other projects you're going to do. You can run it at a lower power percentage and it's going to be fine. But there are times if you're cutting material, you might want that extra power. The spot size between the two really isn't going to be a huge difference unless you're doing real fine photographic tile engravings, and then you're probably going to want a 5 watt anyway. You'd want that Asper that Clack's got for giveaway. That'd be a great one for doing those high detailed engravings. But if you're just doing your typical vector engravings and such, or even just photographic engravings on wood, you're not going to see that big of a difference. And your customers, I almost guarantee you, aren't going to notice the difference at that point.
Oh, geez. Woo. Stand by. Stand by.
What's going on?
The gator in my shop. Hang on.
You got
the cat's done drug in an animal. Stand by.
All right. Is this a little safari action going on?
Woo. Man, I had an accident. I looked over and I had a tiny dinosaur.
Okay. Cats brought you a present.
I looked around and I was like, "What is that?" At first, I thought it was old Slitherback for a minute there. He's not real happy about it either.
When Hobo does his streams, he always talks about squirrel moments. You just almost literally had one. All right.
But yeah, I guess the cat brought him in.
Well, I'd be pissed off if a cat carried me away too.
No, he doesn't look harmed though. I mean, he's not hurt.
Huh.
He's a little upset. He did come out from under enclosure Zilla. Maybe it's a baby Godzilla.
Hmm.
But I'm sitting here and something caught my eye, and I was like, "What is that moving in my
Well,
shop?" And it's this little guy.
between the bees stinging you and that guy biting you, I'm afraid what sort of superpowers you're going to end up with.
Well, he hasn't bitten me yet. But he's
Yet.
acting like he wants to, but he doesn't. I
Yeah.
don't see any teeth or anything. These guys usually, if you hold them for a few minutes and let them get warm, they literally will not leave your hand. So I'm gonna hold on to him for a few minutes, see what happens.
Okay. Well,
I played with these guys since I was a kid. This is
while
actually a really fat one.
while you're trying to tame that guy, Tranquil Mentor is asking about your H or P20 jig file, and to use the jig in Lightburn, should I use absolute coordinates or user origin?
I mean, if you're gonna be using the jig, absolute. That's why you would use a jig. But I mean, you could use user origin, but then it's up to you to make sure it's in the right spot every time. Absolute coordinates with the P20, it works great. Just home the machine as long as you don't have any cables grabbing or anything like that. You should be fine. Uh, I don't ever run absolute current position unless I'm doing like a bowl or something to where I cannot leave the inside of that bowl. Then I will. Like if I'm doing a box and I'm actually engraving, let's say if I've got an inch and a half deep box or something, and I'm engraving the bottom of it, then I will use current position because I don't want the machine to traverse outside that box and get hung up and cause a big collision. But for the most part, I run absolute coordinates all the time.
Yeah, so the idea with the jig is that you have a fixed point and you are going to cut your outline or whatever, say at 200 200 is it's the spot that's going to be at. You want to know that you're going to be able to home and that when you tell it go start engraving this at 200 200, it's going to be in the same spot every time. If you're in user origin, that's going to move around based on wherever you're starting your origin. So um, that's kind of why. Now you use the bowl analogy. I also do it like on tumblers. I'll put my origin to center and use user origin. That way I can kind of position the laser to the exact spot on the tumbler where I want the middle of my engraving to
Yeah.
be, and then use that as well. But generally, I'm trying to work in absolute coordinates so that I know the laser is going to move to a specific spot every time.
Yeah, with tumblers, I do run current position on them, and what I do is I take and use the dot, and I put it right where the silver meets the powder coating around the top rim, and then I use there down or there right, whichever the case may be, as my design. And I just measure. Basically, I create me a rectangle that is the length of the usable area on that tumbler as a reference, and then I start it right there at the edge of the powder coating. So it's it just depends on the job, but 90% of what I do, I'm going to do from absolute coordinates. Uh,
uh,
there you go. That's a good one for you. That's right in your wheelhouse.
um, well, kind of just talked about it that a little bit. But so when you're setting up the job, the software it needs to know. I mean, everything is numerical control, so that's why it likes to have a home point, so it knows, okay, this is the extreme limits of my machine. Then it can also have an origin point, which can be different from your home point, but then it's going to base that job off of that origin point. So if it's absolute coordinates, it knows that if in your workspace you set up a 2-inch square at 2 inches in on your X and your Y, it's going to move 2 inches up, 2 inches right, and then it's gonna put it there. Now you can also have is your origin in the lower left corner of your object, in the center, and the upper right. There's a lot of variables in there that can work with, but absolute coordinates takes into account the home of the machine as part of the equation, whereas user origin is just going to be my machine is starting where it's at, and it's going to base its job off of it. Like if you tell it to move 2 inches away from there to start the job, it's going to move 2 inches from where the machine's sitting at now versus 2 inches off of home. So it'd probably be easier with some visuals, but hopefully that helped explain it a little bit. Well, you've got a new buddy.
He's my friend now. He doesn't want to get away. And if you look real closely, he's napping.
So Tim had a good idea on how to gain some interest in your ASMR giveaway.
How's that?
Just got to add a little decoration to it.
There's Vintauri Workshop stickers all over the place. I could stick a couple of those in the box. I'm gonna stick a Vintauri's Workshop sticker in the box with it. I forgot about that. I've got plenty of those.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, here's yeah, this is with all many of the laser and CNC and whatnot, getting the names right is always interesting. So yeah, there's ASMR, there's ACMR. Um, yeah, that's it. There's different ways to pronounce it, and if we don't hear it exactly from the manufacturer, I guess it's a little up to our regional dialect and interpretation. but but hopefully, they don't get too upset about us mispronouncing it from time to time. Here's a question for you from James. Do you clear coat the locking jigs?
No, not usually. Here in the shack, it usually stays like it's at 46% humidity after raining all week. But most of the wood I use doesn't twist that bad. Occasionally, I'll get a sheet that will, but for the most part, it usually stays flat. I keep it flat stacked down here, and then when I use it, it don't. Now, some of the other stuff I've used, it will, and occasionally, if you get one of those that's got a lot of the Bondo in it, it'll twist. But I don't really have a problem with that. I'm gonna name this guy Babyzilla.
Yeah, I mean, if you do get some twisted plywood, it's best to try to, I mean, especially for a jig, try to use something that is not warped to begin with. Try to get it flat. Some of them you can encourage to lay flat if you get them a little bit wet and then weigh them down and let it dry out, and then hopefully it reacclimates to your shop or your workspace or whatever in that orientation. That doesn't work all the time. Sometimes the grain, and like you say, you get too much filler in there that there's nothing you can do if that's twisted. It's kind of locked in place like that. But you can sometimes moisten up the wood a little bit, lay it nice and flat, let it dry out, and it may untwist on you. So.
Well, that's gonna be a Steve thing. You explain it. You explain it better.
That's a Patrick question.
Where's Patrick at? Patrick can explain that.
So
it has to do with the way the laser is created.
Yeah, so you can get different frequencies and in slightly different wavelengths, which then has different effect on the polishing versus ablating properties of the different wavelengths. So I don't have a good quick explanation on that right now. But something that, especially if it'd be nice to get a MOPA one in and then be able to talk a little bit about like the cow marker before versus the MOPA versus others. So yeah, Patrick says he'll hop in. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. But maybe if you do get that MOPA, or if I get one, we'll bring Patrick in on the show one of these days, and we'll chat about fibers and talk about it.
Yeah, like I said, it's basically, I know that it has different characteristics as far as the beam goes. They use the same wavelength, if I'm not mistaken, but it's just the way that it's created. It has a little more adjustments, so to say. The ones that me and you have, like I said, they don't do the cool colors consistently. I mean, you can make colors, but it's like a roll of the dice what color you're going to get. And with the MOPAs, because you can control so much more variables, it's easier to get, know what color you're going to get on a material. So that'd be cool. So you thought I couldn't tame this thing. You thought it was going to just be wild.
Oh, okay. I didn't say that.
Man, I'm like, what's that? What was that? The Beastmaster back in the day? tames any animal.
Yeah.
Tamed him right down. And he better not jump off of me because Callie is sitting here beside me staring at him.
So, MDF, yeah, that very stable material because it's basically sawdust and resin. It's pretty much not going to move, and that's why it actually makes really good cabinetry. You'll get a plywood veneer, but you'll have an MDF core because it's not going to move. Even some higher end furniture that's labeled as certain woods, that they'll just have a veneer, but they'll have an MDF core because it's far more stable. So it's not fun to cut because some of it, you got to be careful. Some of it has a higher content of formaldehyde in it, and that's not great to vaporize and breathe. And it's very sticky. The stuff it leaves behind on your honeycomb and such is not fun. So great to work with when you need it, but at the same point, I don't always like lasering it because of the smell and the residue.
Yeah, MDF can be challenging too, depending on the glue that they use.
Mm-hmm. See, here you go. Patrick came up with a great analogy for explaining MOPA versus non and Q-pulse. It's at the beginning of a live on his channel, the frequency episode 1.
There you go.
So
if you're curious, go check that video out.
fun. Speaking of things to check out, I should double check. We do have our laser engraving community member map. We're up to 452 entries on it. There are links down below in both of our videos to both a form as well as a map where you can check out where other viewers are at. And if you want to put your pin on there, you can fill out the form, put a screen name, a business name, your real name, and then a location. Doesn't have to be your actual address. Could be, city, state, popular landmark, your friend's house that you don't like. I don't know. But we just have that out there to kind of see where all our viewers are at, and then you can view it too to see if there are people in your area, and you want to try to connect with each other, or if we're out and about and going to be at an event or something and want to try to do a meetup, we'll kind of reference that to see if there's people in the area. So just kind of a fun thing we've been doing for the past 6-7 months to kind of get a visual representation of where you all are at. So if you want to drop your pin, fill out that form. Now it doesn't automatically put you on there. I got to refresh the map. I try to do it a few times every week, especially around our live stream, but go ahead and fill that out and we will refresh it and get your pin on there.
And it's a cool thing. Chris said I'm still feeling locally on the map. Lonely. Okay. Now there's other people in Australia, Chris. They're just a couple thousand miles from you on the other side of Australia. Because that's a big little island you got going over there.
Yeah, he's just on the wrong side of Australia from everybody else.
Yeah. But also, like I said, if you haven't signed up for the drawing, that's on my website. So there's links in all my videos, but you can also just go to my website and click up top. There's a little banner up there. And I thought it would be a cool thing to do. Like I said, it's a 5-watt machine that I'm probably not going to be using a whole lot, and it's a good beginner machine. It's the first one since we've talked about doing more giveaways and stuff. It's the first one that's came in that I have been able to retain all the parts to put it back together, and it's not something that is going to be in my workflow. So we'll see. Maybe there'll be more to come.
Yeah. We'll between working with the manufacturers and or like you mentioned, if you can do it in a way where you can assemble it, test it, but disassemble of it. Some of them are easier to do that than others. And then of course, some of them are easier to ship than others because of the size and the weight of the box, but definitely something that both Clack and I have talked about, trying to do more to give back to the community. Because we do appreciate everyone's support and commenting and coming here on the lives and just hanging out. It definitely makes it enjoyable for us to have that interaction with everybody, and we want to give back when we can. So we're hoping to be able to do more of these. This is kind of a trial run on it to see how the tools work and such, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, like I said, it's, a lot of times, I guess I guess you could say some of the machines that like the 6 watts and stuff like that aren't machines that I think people would like. But knowing ASMR, knowing the quality of the last 2 machines that I've had from them, that was why I was like, okay, it looks good and I'll take it, and this is what we're gonna do with it. So it's a decent little machine, and I think whoever gets it will be pleased with the performance. Like I said, as long as you don't have too high of expectations for a 6 watt module. But it does a good job.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's we both had a chance to play with that one, and if you're sticking to um, like basswood, the plywood adds the layers and the glue, and that can add trickiness to it. But if you're doing engravings all day long, it's great at that. If you want to cut and you're using like 16th or maybe even 1/8 inch basswood, it'll do that. 16th was great. I was actually very surprised at how quickly and how cleanly it cut that out. So it's definitely still capable of some things.
yeah.
But
Do, 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 do.
anyway, we kind of got caught up on questions. Unless we missed them, if we did miss your question, go
Yep.
ahead and drop it back in. We'll try to catch it again. Sometimes we get hung up on one and then we fly by some others. But
Yeah.
yeah. Now you have the peach jam coming up in a few weeks, right?
Yes. Actually, it's only in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
Be June the 8th is when I'll be there. The 7th, they're having some singings and stuff on the 7th, but it's not going to be the big headliners. The vendors aren't going to be there except for the 8th. So it'll be June the 8th in Clanton. I will be there. Ooh, yawning. I'll be there. I think Klein is supposed to be coming with me. Now he did stand me up one year and was late getting there, and so hopefully it'll be a busy, fun day. Uh, I've got everything still loaded in the truck from the last event. I don't really plan on doing a whole lot of pre-made things. I plan on focusing more on the little small jobs that I can do in the F1 and the A24. So it's not like I'm gonna pile up a bunch of inventory to take with me because that's typically not what I sell. I sell a lot of the little, anodized stuff and little dog tags and name tags and the little necklace dog tag type things. So that's where I'm going to be concentrating. I think baby Zilla here, my little dinosaur. Oh, okay, so now he's on my neck. So I'm gonna walk him outside because he had a toenail kind of stuck in my neck. So I'm going to take him outside and see if I can't persuade him to jump somewhere else.
there you go.
But he likes me, guys. What other live stream have y'all saw today that had their own pet dinosaur?
So, Tranquil, down in the description of each of our videos, you should be able to find a link to a laser engraving map form. It's just a 2-question form. It's just a name and a location you can enter on that. That will drop it into the form responses that I have the map pull from. Oh, he went too far. Now we're going to hear him. Hold on. We'll kick him out of here for a minute. So you can put your name and your location there, and then whenever I refresh it, like I'll do right now, it will pull that information into the map, and we'll be able to see the pins that people have dropped. So, like I say, you don't need to use a real name. You can use a business name or a screen name, and then if you want to just put a general location, you can as well. So hopefully you can find that and drop your pin in. There's also a link down there to our Laser Engraver community on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and you want to join that group, you can. That's a great way to interact with people that are here as well as other people that have joined us through our channels. And that's a good way to share things with the group or even ask questions on such. So,
Yeah, that was a battle. He didn't want to get off of me. Like I put him down, he ran up my arm, and I mean, he just would not get off of me.
Yeah, you tamed him too much.
Yep. No, it was the heat because it's 71 degrees in here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to chase him all around. And I was trying to keep the cats from getting him, so I wanted to put him up high. So I took him out there and put him up on a pole so he don't get eaten.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, trying to do my part.
Lance, we're actually using Restream right now. And then behind the scenes, I think both of us are running Streamlabs for doing some mixing and such. But I've used just straight Streamlabs and OBS on some of my streams, but we may be looking at StreamYard later this year. They have a few features that um, Restream doesn't have that might make it easier for us to do like live giveaways and such. And also I think it does a little better job of combining the chats and letting us send links out to all the channels rather than just one. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's September when it renews, and
Okay.
I think that's when it was. But yeah, yeah, it's very likely at least gonna try it out here shortly.
Well, a lot of the behind the scenes tech that's also fun when you get into this whole content creation stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Extra $50 a month. So, depending on what setup you want to get, and like I said, to save a little bit of money, typically I pay for that stuff like a year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of got to wait till one's dying off before you start the other one to keep from having to double buy. There's no need to having two softwares. I'm only going to use one. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, so maybe you can go on the month-to-month plan and get it kicked into November because usually there's Black Friday sales around some of that stuff too, and we can figure that out at that point. But
Yeah.
so,
Never know.
but yeah, you've got the Peach Jam event coming up. I don't know if I have any events specifically that I'm going to be showing at or doing things at just right now. My sister is putting together a bit of an art thing early June with some people, and I've been invited to that. But I originally, when it was going to be an outdoor event, said, "Hey, maybe I'll come up and do some laser demonstrations and such." But now it's kind of moved indoors, and I'm not really sure on the venue and such. So I need to talk with her on that. But that might be a bit last minute because that too is coming up in a couple weeks or probably even less. But if that comes to fruition, I'll definitely let people know if they're in the area, want to swing by. I may be going up to the Burnsville Rockler location this Saturday. There's another kind of meetup going on with some woodworking people. If you're into the woodworking side of things, there's a trio of guys that they have their own YouTube channels. It's Mark with Gunflint Designs, Bruce with Bruce Ulrich, and Drew with Fisher's Shop, and they do a lot of traditional woodworking, but they also all of them have Onefinities, so they get into CNC work. Mark, he's just 20 minutes south of me, and I've helped him out with his laser. He's had everything from diodes on up to some very large machines and such. And so they're getting together, and I might be up there sometime this weekend, hanging out with them a little bit, but I'm not sure. But I'm sure as I get closer into mid to later summer and probably into fall, I'll have some more events up in this area and make sure people know if they want to come hang out for a bit. We'll do that again. So, but yeah, it's summer's going to get away. It feels like, well, up here especially, it feels like summer hasn't even started yet. We're still cooler weather, spring-like weather. Although it's getting green, I did have to mow my lawn, obviously.
Finally, it's only been like 2 months.
I guess I didn't really do it. My wife did. But, it's it's gonna go fast, so we will we'll definitely let you know when we're gonna be out and about places.
Yep. Stephen Ray says has 2 lasers. When I try to run both with 2 separate light burn windows open, I can only get one camera to work on one of the lasers. That's not as far as I know, unless it's something particular to the camera that you're using. I have some cameras don't play well together with each other. I will say that, but I run 2 or 3 machines and I have 2 or 3 different cameras, and I don't have any problems. So it is
If
possible.
One thing I would ask is, are they the same type of camera? And does the computer see them almost like the same one, just different ports? Sometimes that gets confusing for things.
Yeah, well, see, I use the same camera in both
Yeah, you
enclosures.
do
Now,
it.
it's named exactly the same thing, but if you click it, it's a different view. So, I don't know because like
I mean,
right now,
the
if because see, I can go in here and it shows all these different cameras. I'm not even
um,
sure what that
the
is.
other thing though, and I think both of us has run into this. If you're running them off of like just a regular hub, it could be too much data, and you might want to see if you can either separate them out onto separate ports on the computer, or if nothing else, make sure you have a good USB powered a powered USB hub if you're using it that way. Because I've seen it where it's just too much data on one port. Um,
Yeah, I don't run two cameras on one hub. I have a hub per enclosure area, and like over here, I can't run the Atom Stack camera and the MK2 camera off that hub at the same time. It's just
mhm.
something about the way those hubs work. I guess because they're kind of dumb machines in a way. It just doesn't allow both of them to work. I can unplug one or the other, but I can't run both of them. So if you're running it off of a single hub, I would recommend you split that and run two separate USB cables to the different machines for that. Put the machine and a camera on one hub and a machine and a camera on the other hub, and then plug those into two different USB ports on the main board. That's one of the reasons I had to add USB ports to my computer, was because I have so many hubs. Like, I got
Mhm.
three of them. I got one over this side, one on that side, and then the one in the middle.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah, what I want is one of those GPS controlled little lawnmowers that I can just like set it a path and let it go. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, there's the whole Skynet thing, and that thing's got a flying blade, and it's going to start chasing you down.
Yeah,
No.
Steve, try splitting those off. Use an extension cable for one of the cameras or something. Get it off of that. Get it off of that hub, and see if that fixes it. Because uh, if it's a 2.0 powered hub instead of a 3, it's going to have less voltage. I can't remember the exact voltages, but I know the voltage capacities are different for USB 2 and USB 3 and 3 version 2 and all that. It's like 5 volts and 6.5 and maybe 8 or something like that, I think. It's been a minute since I took that class. Da, da, da.
You haven't played around with any of the adjustable Z-axes, the aftermarket ones for Xtool?
No, it's one of those things, kind of like me and you talked about making your own CNC. It's like I can spend a bunch of money trying to piece it together and make it work, or I can, just get one that works. So it's just never been really something that I wanted to spend the time and effort to try to do. Most of the stuff that I do, like I said, this machine, it's neat that it has the Power Z, but none of the rest of my machines do, and it doesn't slow me down. Slow me down, did it? So you know, not really high on my priority of things is a Power Z. It's fun, it's cool, but on a laser, it's more or
Well,
less just extra.
yeah. I mean, even if it's unpowered, um, I think that's what maybe he was looking for. And Mark brought up a good point. A Live Pixel has an option for that to check out, but I haven't played with them too much. Uh, I I don't like to add a lot of extra weight to my module and the gantry and such. If you're cutting, it's not too bad, but when you're trying to get into higher engraving speeds and you've got all that extra weight and mass sitting on there, I mean, it's got to sling that around as well. So I just opt to kind of go stock, or as Clack says, find something that's purpose built for it. But um, probably probably something to check out is the Alive Pixel creates. That's you ran into him at Workbench Con, right?
Yeah, yeah, he makes all kinds of like 3D printed
Mm-hmm.
parts and some other parts and so forth. He's got his on his website, and I think he's got a YouTube channel as well that he does stuff on. I saw the other day where he was checking out some kind of filtration system or whatever. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
usually go with making the modules lighter. That's kind of my forte.
Yeah, you cut things off. Yeah.
So I don't really want to add weight because have you held the shield that goes on the A70? I mean, have you held it without the module? That's
It's
a pretty good bit of weight
yeah,
because
it's
it's metal. Oh, but
it's a
yeah,
little chunky.
but yeah, I typically make mine lighter.
Mm-hmm. So uh
Let's see. Lance asked, "Did I make a mistake pre-ordering Atom Stack's Axis and flame detection for the A24 Pro?" I mean, I don't think it's like if they're using the technology they've got in the A70, which probably they do because it's the same. I think it's the same controller. Uh, it works, but I mean, it's just not something that it's going to make me or break me. It is cool. It is nice that I can sit over here with my cameras and not even open my enclosure and set the focus and everything. But that's not something that if I had a machine that was working like the older D1, that's not really something I would add to that D1. I would just get a more modern machine. I mean, because you can get like the Two Trees what is it, TS20, I think it is, that comes with a actual working, Z-axis out of the bat, and now you've got two machines. So that's just different strokes for different folks. I just that wasn't something that I was that wrapped around the wheel to go putting it on my factory D1 or whatever.
yeah, I mean the Z-axis module upgrade for the A series, the A24, looks to be the same that's on the X70 that we have.
Yeah.
And that actually works really well. It's purpose built by Atom Stack. I don't think that is something I would say is uh, a bad idea. Um,
No.
Now I haven't looked into their flame detection thing.
Yeah, that is the exact. Yeah, that is the module carrier or whatever from the
Mhm.
A70. So yeah, that one should work really well because it's got the flame detections built on it. I see it now. See the little sensor, the little red sensor at the
Oh,
bottom of it.
gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, the thing with flame detection,
The
flame
one.
detection is okay, but you got to be careful with it. It can have you know, false positives. And I've had people ask in like the X Tool group and other places, X Tool has their flame suppression. It's like a multiple CO2 cartridges that when it detects a flame, it's going to stop the laser and it's going to flood it with CO2, which is, it's never a bad idea to have a layer of safety, but you first have to trust the sensors. And so I would definitely, before I hook one of those up, I would want to make sure that it's only going to trip when there's a legit fire and not when it's going to have a false positive on thinking it was a fire. But, because now it's going to stop the job, it's going to flood it with CO2. You're going to be wasting the CO2 and you're going to possibly ruin your material. So while safety features are great, you should
Hmm.
kind of keep in mind that you still want to be monitoring your device. It's probably something you can take care of yourself if you're monitoring it, and the chances of you having a false positive ruin a job or your material are lessened. But not trying to knock safety features that they're integrating to them, but you gotta trust that they're not gonna go off at the wrong time. I mean, if the sprinkler systems in our college were as flaky as the flame detectors are on some of these lasers, I would never sit at my desk at work for fear of getting drenched.
Yeah. Now I will say on the A70, I'm assuming that the A24 would be similar. I don't since you don't have a controller, I don't know, but on the A70, you can plug the controller to the machine, and it's literally the touch of a button. It turns the flame detection off. So
Mhm.
I've already disabled it in the A70 because like I said, I have bad experiences with the D1 Pro and that flame detection, especially when light hits it just right. But but if it's the same as the A70, it should be easy enough to turn that off. But it looks like you can't get one without the other because it's all on the same module. Like it's built into the Z-axis. But that Z-axis does look like they took the same one from the A70 and installed it on there. So
and that one's working great
mm-hmm.
for both of us. So that's the first one I feel really confident in that I've used. So I've been very happy with it. So, and it's very nice having it, like you say, that when the autofocus works and you can just try to drop material in, tell it to autofocus and set up the job, it is really nice. So,
yeah, I may have to see about trying one of them out for my little A24 portable setup. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, it's the sensor is behind the module the way it's set up. But yeah. Cool.
All right. So we're rolling up right on our 2 hours here. A couple of quick questions left, but so Perben is asking, which machine would you prefer, the Rolly MK230 or the Atom Stack 40? I think the issue that both of us are going to say is our 40s are wider than the MK230 is. And so that's
and it's wider than the and it's wider than the new MK is too.
Yeah. So in that realm, the increased working area is going to be a big thing to consider for the machines we have. Now, over a similar sized machine, the MK230, it's enclosed, it's fast. You can adjust the frequency on it to play around with your engraving settings. The honeycomb is fixed, so you can actually use it in absolute coordinates without an extra jig if you need. So there are a lot of features that size machine, it does a lot of things very, very well. But for the machines we have, when you have the extra wide 40 that we've got, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, that big dude.
Yeah.
On the you can't see it, I don't think, with this camera because it's on the screen. Yeah, it's not going to work out right. But yeah, it's. Hang on, maybe I can get it over here for now. Yeah, so like literally on this machine on the A70, this is what the screen looks like when you first power it on. All you got to do is go into settings, and there's a button for tilt detection right there, and one for flame detection right there. And then you got the autofocus off and on. Resume engraving and stuff like that. The resume engraving only works if you're using the SD card that's built into the machine, but you can turn that off and on. And then, of course, you got your about, which just tells you what version of software it's running. But yeah, this little controller is pretty handy with this machine. It's kind of basic. I don't know why the other controllers won't work with this machine. For some reason this one's a little different, but I guess it's the communications link. But yeah, you can even like use the engrave if you had the USB plugged in, which I don't, because I just don't use that. But that's how you turn those sensors off and on with the Atom Stack without having to go into any kind of controller settings or anything.
Yep.
But didn't we tried this on the A24 and it wouldn't work on the A24, didn't we? This controller. Pretty sure I did.
I think you did try it out there. And it didn't spin up. So they probably have some other one. But Lance says that we inspired him to get the A24 for portable and did a couple orders and tried to use each of our affiliate links. Hope they worked as it was bought fully on our recommendation. Well, Lance, we appreciate that. We try not to be too pushy with that, but we do appreciate when people use our links when we've helped them out and inspired them. And, it definitely helps out our channels, but, we make it a goal not to be overly salesy. We want to be educational. We want to be informational. We try to be funny and entertaining. But yeah, we do have affiliate links on a lot of our videos that if you found something was good and you wanted to support us, using those is usually a great way to do it. And sometimes there's a discount tied to them as well. So always appreciate it, but never want to pressure anyone into feeling like they gotta do anything beyond just watching our
Yeah.
videos, hanging out, chatting, and communicating with us.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I enjoy it and it's fun. It's like me and Brady were talking about. The fact that I can take these machines that I enjoy messing with and playing with, and I can make enough money to buy tools and keep my shop going and pay for my power to be able to have air conditioning and stuff like that, and still have a little extra money to upgrade some stuff. It's pretty cool. So, and I don't ask, like I said, I don't ask for anything other than if you like the information. Like I said, show us a little love if you do decide to make the order. By no means do I care which brand you go with, because me and Steve, between the two of us, we have links for almost every major laser manufacturer there are. If you're looking for links for mine, I keep all of mine on the Shop with Clack tab on my webpage. Like there's links to everybody from Amazon to Shapeco to just about any laser manufacturer you can think of. Because that's the money that I use to buy cameras, or buy my new computer I'm fixing to have to buy because this one crashed 3 times today. That's where that money comes from. So
Yeah.
it is appreciated. But yeah, I think you'll be happy with the A24 for a portable setup. It has the safety features that you need for that. It's not too big, not too small. The 20 watts very responsive. It's really close to the MK2 and the Algo as well. I forgot about it because it does move really fast.
Yeah.
It may be a little slower than the Algos and the MK2, but if it is, it's not a lot. So, but yeah. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Uh, and like I said, guys, I'm not knocking any of these companies because let's face it, I love Ford trucks. Okay, Ford has made some really harebrained decisions in some of their vehicles and stuff before, so I'm not going to hold that against the company that they turned out. One vehicle that was a flop, that was a lemon or whatever. But me and Steve try to take the machines and look at them from a user's perspective. What are you going to like? What are you not going to like? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And give you our honest opinion. But it's still that. It's our opinion. So, but I like to think that I got a pretty decent, opinion for stuff like that.
Well, and like you say, we try not to be too critical on anyone, but we're also not necessarily like this is the end all be all laser to get. But it is nice to be able to get this experience with other ones, to be able to be able to say that yes, this one does this better than that other one.
Yeah.
Without being able to get your hands on some of them, that's tricky. And moving forward, hopefully we can, kick that back to more people, like Clack's been able to do with this ASMR laser. We're hoping to be able to do that with more of them as well. So appreciate everybody trusting us. We don't take that lightly. We do try to keep with the ethics and in mind, and give some our educated but our honest opinion. And like Clack said, that they really are our opinions. We're well knowledge, well versed, well experienced, but are we experts? There's always a smarter guy in the room somewhere, right? So
Oh
we're
yeah.
all still learning some of this as we go along as well. So
And in your
um,
case, there's always a better looking guy standing right behind you.
uh, yeah, Y-
Clacking a hat.
that's just a cutout, right? I'm surprised he's still awake.
Oh man. Yeah.
But
But yeah, we look forward to continuing. And like I said, I've got a couple of other machines that I may or may not get, but whew, I had gotten to where I wasn't taking a whole lot. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I could just start, like, especially with the smaller ones that ain't going to cost me an arm and a leg to ship. I could just start re-gifting those. So I've taken a few. Typically, I'm not going to be taking a lot unless it's something that I think is nice, and that either I wouldn't mind using or wouldn't mind having somebody that's a friends of mine or one of you guys use. So that's where we're at, and hopefully more of it to come. And guys, I am still grinding to try to hit my goal of hitting 30,000 by the time I turn 49 years old on June the 22nd, which coincidentally, my birthday and the day that I got my notification from YouTube that, I had reached that threshold to get monetized. Coincidentally, it was on my birthday. So it's kind of a goal for me, to hit 30,000. So if you're watching the videos and you haven't subscribed, please do. Please help me get to that number because I'm getting really close. But looking at the pace, I'm afraid I'm going to fall a little short. I'm at 28.3, which is technically 397 right now. So it's possible, but we're going to have to pick up the pace between now and then. So, oh, Jim, don't worry. Don't worry, Jim. There's going to be some payback from the Clack Shack. I ain't figured out how I'm going to get him yet, but I'm going to get him. He is going to get some payback. Oh, they said you got the shirt color wrong anyway. Needs an orange shirt.
What can I say? My customers didn't want orange.
It's a good color, but
yeah, I think blue's great.
No, I'm talking about the orange is a good color. It's safety first, man. Safety first.
Yeah, it's what they dress up little kids in so they don't get lost in the forest.
Or people wear when they go hunting.
Not always.
I can't wear camouflage, but I can wear my orange. That's the way it works.
Well,
you're trying for 30K. And North Alabama, Facebook is tough.
It is.
My audience on Facebook's only like 3,500, which is I don't get it, but Facebook is tough. It's a crawl.
And I think YouTube in general the past few months has been really slow for everyone too. So it's it's a hard time of the year to have that goal.
Yeah.
You're fighting an uphill battle a little bit there, but hopefully we get you there, get you a good birthday present. But it's only about 4 weeks away, so you're gonna have to.
Oh, yeah, and one more thing too. If y'all, stand by.
Inception.
Accidental discharge there. Also, it'll be in the morning before it gets here, but check it out for you guys that like the bees. That's right. More to come, guys. So I got myself 4 nice jars of fresh honey today, and it was almost clear. It had a little tint of yellow to it, but it was almost clear. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I got, guys. I mean, I'm starting to get sleepy already.
Starting to. You've been yawning for an hour.
I don't know why I do that. I drink all the water I can, but I'm out of water.
Clack in the hat's already like half knocked over sleeping, so
can't help it. My dinosaur left me.
Well,
what you got? What else? What else we gonna do fun over at the Vintauri's workshop?
What do I? Well, like I said, I'm going to finish up this video on the hats and the shirts, and then I got to get some work done on the Sculpt Fun 40-watt machine there, and some other project videos. Got some project videos. Been putting the Rolly Lasermatic MK230 to use on the side, doing some projects and testing. So we'll have some stuff out on that as well. But yeah. Well, hopefully, as long as I don't come down with some other freak cold that's been going around up here, get a little more done this week.
Yeah, people are giving me so many ideas in the chat of how to get you back. Oh, but anyway,
don't worry. I'm already planning on my rebuttal to whatever you're coming up with. So,
this could go. This could get insanely expensive before it's all said and done. I'm gonna have me an animatronic Steve sitting over here with pre-programmed phrases.
Oh, trust me, I've got plenty of servos from all my RC gear. I can do something with that. Got some Raspberry Pis, get some speakers.
Oh, geez. That could get expensive quick. All right. Yeah. North Alabama said he looks intoxicated. He does. He looks like he definitely does need to be driving. But anyway, guys, that's it from here. Good night to y'all, and we'll see y'all next Sunday. Remember, next Sunday I'll be doing the drawing. I wanted to do it live because I feel like that's kind of exciting for the people that wanted to see.
Yeah, it's a little fun.
And I didn't want to have time to get everything ready this week. So next week we're gonna spin the wheel and see who gets to take home that machine over there with all the merch. And I know I got them somewhere. I'll just pull one off the wall. I'm gonna even throw a couple of Vintauri's workshop stickers in the box to get them out of my shop because I keep
Oh
finding
no.
them everywhere. So they'll get some Clack Shack stickers, Vintauri's workshop stickers, and a machine that's been pretty much tested. And as long as you put it together, it should be a good machine. So because I can't ship it assembled.
Yeah. Well, you could just cost you a bit more.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all guys, be safe. Steve, on you,
Yep.
baby.
We'll see you all next week. Have a good week and get out in your workshop and make something.
Yeah, that make a clack in a hat.